They found it on the second night, a stream that shouldn't exist, glowing electric blue through the darkness, cutting through the forest like a vein of pure light. Sarah saw it first, her flashlight catching that impossible shimmer between the trees. The four of them stood there, mesmerized, as the water pulsed with bioluminescent energy, the kind you'd see in ocean plankton, except this was deep in the Appalachian wilderness, miles from any coast. Mark wanted to follow it. Of course he did. He was the one who'd dragged them out here in the first place, talking about getting back to nature, disconnecting from the world. The stream flowed uphill. That's what made Sarah's stomach drop. Water doesn't flow uphill. It defied physics, defied logic, but there it was, glowing brighter as it wound deeper into the forest, and they were following it like moths to a flame. The trees grew denser, older, their branches forming a canopy so thick the moonlight disappeared entirely. The only illumination came from that unnatural stream, casting everything in shades of blue and shadow. Jessica kept checking her phone. No signal, no GPS. The compass spun uselessly in circles. They were 3 miles in when they found the fence. 12 feet of chain link, topped with rusted barbed wire, stretching in both directions as far as their lights could reach. A sign hung crooked on the metal, faded but readable. Clearwater BioResearch Facility. Authorized personnel only. Below it, smaller text. Established 1962. The Cold War era, when the government ran secret experiments in places just like this, testing chemical and biological weapons, pushing the boundaries of what they called national security. The stream flowed right through a gap in the fence, like it was inviting them in. They should have turned back. They should have run. But the glow was hypnotic, and Mark was already climbing through, and then they were all inside, following that luminous path toward a cluster of buildings that materialized from the darkness like a nightmare taking shape. The main facility was concrete and steel, 3 stories of Cold War architecture slowly being reclaimed by the forest. Windows shattered, doors hanging open, but inside lights flickered. Pale, fluorescent lights that had no business working in a place abandoned for decades. The stream led directly to the entrance, flowing through the open doors and disappearing into the building's depths. That's when they heard the footsteps, slow dragging, accompanied by the squeak of wheels on linoleum. A gurney emerged from the darkness, pushed by something that might have once been human. Its skin was grey, mottled with chemical burns, eyes clouded white, but somehow still seeing. It wore a lab coat, name tag still pinned to the chest. Dr. Morrison. The thing that used to be Dr. Morrison didn't acknowledge them, just pushed its gurney past, heading deeper into the facility. More of them appeared. Researchers, test subjects, security guards, all moving with that same mechanical purpose. Continuing experiments that should have ended 50 years ago. Through the broken windows, they could see into the labs. Bodies on tables still being dissected, chemicals being mixed and poured, subjects strapped to chairs, electrodes attached to skulls, their mouths open in silent screams that had been echoing for decades. The stream wasn't water. Sarah realized it too late, her boots soaked in the stuff, skin already starting to burn. It was runoff, contaminated with whatever they'd been testing here, whatever had killed the staff and then brought them back, trapped in an endless loop of their final experiments. The facility had been conducting research on biological weapons, on chemicals designed to incapacitate and control. They'd created something that wouldn't let them die, wouldn't let them stop. One of the undead researchers turned toward them, its head tilting at an unnatural angle. Its mouth moved, forming words in a voice like grinding metal. New subjects. Protocol 17. Begin testing. More of them emerged from the shadows, surrounding the group, reaching out with hands that were more bone than flesh. They ran. Through corridors lined with specimen jars containing things that shouldn't exist. Past rooms where the walls pulsed with that same blue glow, alive with whatever contamination had soaked into every surface. The building was a maze, every hallway looking the same, every door leading to fresh horrors. Behind them, the staff followed with patient, inevitable steps, because they had all the time in the world, because they'd been doing this for 50 years and they'd never stop. Jessica didn't make it. She slipped in the contaminated runoff, and they were on her before anyone could react, dragging her into a lab, strapping her down as she screamed. Mark and Sarah kept running, found a window, crashed through it into the forest beyond. They ran until their lungs burned, until the glow faded behind them, until they found the fence and climbed over, not stopping until they reached their camp. They packed in silence, hands shaking, and hiked out at first light. When they reached civilization, they tried to report it, but there was no record of any Clearwater BioResearch facility. No abandoned buildings in that part of the forest. The maps showed nothing but wilderness. Mark's hands started glowing blue 3 days later. Sarah's eyes clouded over a week after that. Whatever they'd been exposed to, whatever had kept that staff working for decades after death, it was in them now. And somewhere deep in the forest, that stream still flows uphill, still glows in the darkness, still waiting for the next group of campers curious enough to follow it home.